Welcome back. This is part two of a little two-part series that I'm doing on 10 things my therapist said that deserve to be on t-shirts. So if you missed part one, go back and listen to that. That was 1 through 5, and now today we're doing 6 through 10. And these are these single sentences that somebody says that doesn't just land in you, it actually just kind of detonates. It really rocks your world. These one-liners that somehow say everything that you've been trying to figure out for years in just a handful of words. So I do want to take a minute and encourage you that if you have a one-liner, if you have a sentence that a therapist, a family member, a friend, somebody said to you that really just open your eyes to that next level of understanding, I want you to share that with me. You can find me all over social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, or you can shoot me an email at Renee, Renee, at covertnarcissism.com. So today we're going to pick up right where we left off, because honestly, there's just way too many of these life-altering truths to fit into just one episode. And in fact, there's too many to fit in even into 2 episodes. So as you guys share with me, I will share them then with this audience. So I look forward to seeing all of that. All right, t-shirt number 6. If they only treat you well when they want something, it's not kindness, it's control. Now, I sat in therapy trying to explain why it was so hard to call it abuse. Why couldn't I stay focused on the bad things that were going on? Why did I keep making excuses, or why did I keep, focusing back on the good moments, on those breadcrumbs like so many of us do? I mean, the words that were coming out of my mouth were something like, he's not always cold. When I help him with his projects, he actually can be pretty cooperative. If he needs something and I show up for him, he's actually really sweet. He even said that he didn't know what he would do without me. It's not all that bad. Maybe I shouldn't be complaining. Maybe I should just be grateful for what I have. I just need to make sure that I'm always there when he needs me. Maybe that's what I need to do, and then things are fine. I didn't even realize what I was saying. You see, I had confused being useful with being loved. And maybe that's another one of those one-liners right there. I had confused being useful with being loved. My therapist, he raised his eyebrows slightly and he kind of leaned forward and he said, "Hey, if he only treats you well when you're useful to him, that's not kindness, it's control." And that one sentence, it rocked my world. This really opened my eyes because I couldn't argue with him. What he was saying made sense. So how do you know if this t-shirt's for you? Well, have you ever noticed how someone showers you with affection when you're helping them? They can be really gracious and appreciative when you're helping them. But then they go cold or even critical when you ask for help yourself, when you're asking them to help you. You do not get the same thing in return. Have you ever felt like your worth in the relationship is tied to how much you can do for them, not for who you actually are? This is how you know. Genuine love doesn't have a transaction receipt attached to it. You're not a tool. You're not a backup generator. You're a human being. And you're a human being worthy of care even when you're not providing a service. So look at how you're being treated when you're not doing something for them. That speaks volumes. T-shirt number 7. Of course you're exhausted. You're carrying emotional loads that aren't yours. Now, this really rang true with me. See, I was sitting in therapy and I was venting about how tired I was. And when I talk about tired, this is not, hey, I had a long day. Maybe I had a big workout and I had a big presentation at work and I didn't sleep well last night and I'm tired and I need to go sleep for 8 hours. That's being tired. This is a level of exhaustion it's a soul level exhaustion. And if you're living with a covert narcissist or have, you know what I'm talking about. This is like I picture a fuel tank at a gas station that's under the ground, okay? And it's been there for years and years and decades. And this fuel tank had gas in it all these years, but it finally has run dry. And you're looking now like you got a little, scope of some sort, and you're looking inside this tank, and I can hear it echoing. Somebody knocks on the side, and it echoes all the way down through this tank. It just reverberates because it's totally empty. And I mean bone dry, empty, to the point that it is rotting from the inside out. That's the level of exhaustion I'm talking about when you're dealing with covert narcissism. Now, add to this that you're exhausted, like what I'm talking about, and you're blaming yourself for it. You see, I was sitting in front of my therapist saying, I don't get it. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm being patient. I'm staying calm. I'm managing my reactions. I'm trying to keep the peace. I'm monitoring all the moods in the household. I'm making sure the food's ready. I'm making sure that, the conditions are right for a successful evening. I'm so tired. And I feel weak because it's like I can't even function. Like even getting up in the mornings and getting dressed is a chore. And I don't understand this. I've never been like this before. What's wrong with me? You see, I was still trying to decide what's wrong with me. Is it my, is it my blood pressure? Is it my health, my physical health? Am I not taking good enough care of myself? What is it? And my therapist stopped me from spiraling because I'm spiraling now with all the things that could have been wrong with me. And he just gently said, of course you're exhausted. You're carrying emotional loads that aren't yours. And they were never yours to begin with. Now, how do you know if this t-shirt relates to you? Have you ever felt like you're the one managing everyone else's emotions? You're smoothing over every argument, predicting every bad mood, apologizing first just to keep the peace and just to keep things from blowing up. Let me tell you something. That's not weakness. That's emotional labor. That's not being, you're not tired because you're lazy, or you're not tired because you're not motivated and you don't want to do anything. You're tired because you're exhausted from all the labor you have put in. And this is labor that's unpaid, unrecognized, and unsustainable. It'd be different if this labor that we're putting in had some reciprocal benefit. If the labor I put in is a labor of love, the emotional labor that I put in actually makes things better, and the relationship grows and safety grows and trust grows and we grow together, then that labor I've put in has, benefits back to it, then my tank doesn't run dry. But when there is no growth, there is no reciprocity, when none of that actually exists, then I'm just pouring in all this labor into a bottomless pit. That's when you get drained. You're tired because you've been carrying backpacks full of blame, shame, and unspoken expectations that were never meant for your shoulders. It's not your strength that's broken. It's the weight that you're living under that's unfair. T-shirt number 8. Peace isn't boring. You're just addicted to chaos. Now, this one, a lot of people that I've worked with after they've left a relationship with a covert narcissist and they pursue down the road, maybe after some healing, a future relationship, or maybe they have a friendship that's just grown really strong. And then these people are saying, I don't understand why this, I think it's healthy. This feels healthy. I think it's healthy, but it feels weird to me. It feels wrong. It feels off. It feels uninteresting, or maybe it's boring. Maybe something really is wrong with me. We seem to always come back to that. I don't know how to trust anymore. And so I don't know how to trust this boring. These are people that are in therapy saying things like, I know they treat me well. They're consistent and kind, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like something's missing. Like maybe I just don't know how to love anymore. Maybe I'm the one that's broken. Spoiler alert here. You're not the one that's broken. You are detoxing from a chaos addiction. That's what's going on. My therapist kind of leaned in and said, hey, peace isn't boring. You're just addicted to chaos. So how do you know if this t-shirt's for you? Have you ever felt weirdly uncomfortable When someone treats you with steady, patient respect. Like you're waiting for the real version of them to show up. You're waiting for the real side of them to hurt you. Or maybe you're the one that picks fights out of nowhere because something just feels off when things are actually calm and good. You don't know how to trust that. That's not because peace is wrong. It's because chaos felt like home for way too long. Healthy love is steady. It's reliable. It's boring in the best possible way. And so your nervous system might not know how to live with it. Your nervous system might not know how to accept it. But you need to tell that nervous system, hey, this is what safety feels like. Stay. T-shirt number 9. Gaslighting isn't an argument. It's a control tactic. Now I'm going to talk about circular conversations here for just a minute. You see, I sat in therapy. I didn't know what circular conversations were. I didn't know that phrase, but I was trying to describe this same exhausting cycle over and over that I kept finding myself in. And I would say, I just don't get it. I don't know how to have a conversation. These aren't conversations. I mean, it feels very broken. Every time I bring up an issue or something to discuss, he would say either it didn't happen, or that I was imagining things, or that I'm being too sensitive. Like every time I would bring something up, it just got thrown back in my face how I had done something wrong. Either I had heard him wrong, or I had remembered it wrong, or my feelings were wrong. And then I would feel guilty for bringing it up in the first place because this led into this major argument. And I would keep saying things differently. Okay, maybe if I said it this way, or if I said it that way, or if I stayed calmer, then maybe he would hear me. But it didn't matter what I did. Everything just always ended up back on me. And I felt guilty for the argument then that was happening. I thought I was bad at communicating. I thought I was being too emotional. And my therapist, just as plain and simple, said, hey, you're trying to describe an argument here. You're talking about an argument happening. But gaslighting is not an argument. It's a control tactic. And I thought about that for a minute and wait, I'm describing an argument and you're telling me it's not an argument? And he said, no, it's gaslighting. And gaslighting is a control tactic. How do you know if you can wear this t-shirt? Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling more confused than when it started? Of course you have. You're listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast. You know, there's a reason that you're here. Have you ever apologized for your feelings after trying to explain how you were hurt? Of course you have. You weren't communicating badly. This is not an argument. You're being manipulated out of your own reality. You see, healthy people don't need you to question your memories in order to protect their egos or their image. You don't need to learn how to communicate better. You don't need to learn how to argue better. You need to stop arguing with someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. Listen to what I'm saying there. They are committed to not getting it, to not understanding you, to not reconciling. They are committed to that. So stop arguing with someone who is committed to the problems, the chaos. T-shirt number 10. This is my favorite. Your gut knew before your brain was ready. I can 100% say that is true. When I finally started untangling myself from this relationship, I realized something very, very chilling. I had known for a long time that something wasn't right here. I had known for a very long time that something was truly broken. I just wasn't ready to see it. You don't see it till you see it. I wasn't ready. My eyes weren't open to it. My heart wasn't ready to accept it. But my gut knew. I knew deep inside of me. I told my therapist, I didn't know that this was abuse. I didn't know it was manipulation, but I felt it. I felt something was wrong. I felt sick in my stomach before every talk that we had to have. I knew things were going to go bad. I dreaded the weekends and looked forward to Monday morning when he went back to work. How backwards is that? I would tense up over nothing because even the nothings were going to become a problem. But I kept telling myself that I was the one overreacting. I didn't trust my gut. I didn't trust my instincts. And my therapist said to me, your gut knew before your brain was ready. And I think many, many of you out there listening to me, you understand that. You get that, and you're in that same situation. How do you know if this t-shirt's for you? Have you ever made excuses about why your stomach dropped before seeing them? Maybe those excuses sounded like, well, I think I was just being too sensitive. I was being nervous about something I didn't need to be nervous about. Or maybe I ate something, that upset my stomach. Have you ever ignored that heavy sinking feeling inside of you in favor of a prettier story? You convince yourself that you're just being stressed because of a project at work or because you haven't gotten enough sleep. Listen, your survival instincts are lighting up with warning signs. You just have to learn to watch for them. You have to learn to listen to your gut and to follow those instincts. Those survival instincts know they're trying to keep you safe. They're trying to warn you and say, hey, this is not okay. And you got to listen to them. Your gut isn't lying. Your body has known for a long time. You didn't fail by staying longer than you should have, okay? Don't judge yourself there. You survived the best you could until you're strong enough to let your eyes open up, until you're strong enough to listen to your gut and hear what it's saying to you. Now, there it is. The last few t-shirts that I wish I could have worn years ago, when I was still doubting my self-worth, when I was still second-guessing my gut, when I was still carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Now, maybe you heard a phrase in these 2 episodes that felt like it was meant just for you. Maybe something cracked a little more open, or maybe something finally fully clicked into place. Hold on to that phrase. Put it on a sticky note and post it where only you can see it. Wear it, not just on a t-shirt or a coffee mug. Wear it in how you speak to yourself, in how you choose your relationships, on how you move forward from here. Because healing doesn't always come wrapped in long, complicated lessons. It doesn't always come in 8 weeks of therapy sessions or weekend-long retreats. Sometimes it's just one simple sentence. One sentence said at just the right time, and your ears were ready to hear it. So I want to remind you of these 6 statements that we went through today. If they only treat you well when you're useful, it's not kindness, it's control. Of course, you're exhausted. You're carrying emotional loads that aren't yours. Peace isn't boring. You're just addicted to chaos. Gaslighting isn't an argument. It's a control tactic. And your gut knew before your brain was ready. You're not crazy. You are healing. And you're doing better than you think. You are stronger than you know. Keep listening to that voice inside of you. It's wiser than you realize. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.